Welcome to our channel, where we dive deep into the most intense, dramatic, and emotionally gripping stories unfolding behind closed doors. Today, we unravel a tale of betrayal, anger, and inner turmoil, where secrets become weapons and loyalties shatter under the crushing weight of truth. As you journey with us through this episode, remember that what lies beyond appearances is often darker and more dangerous than anyone dares to admit. Doug opened his eyes in a haze of pain, the dim light of an unfamiliar room flickering against walls that seemed to close in on him. His chest ached with every breath, his limbs felt heavy and unresponsive, and the metallic taste of blood lingered on his tongue. The accident should have ended him, and for a moment, he wondered if he had crossed the threshold into death. But the cold air, damp with mildew and silence, reminded him that he was still alive. Against all odds, life clung to him, though survival carried its own curse. He realized quickly that he was not in a hospital, not in any official facility. This was a secret place, hidden, chosen deliberately. And then he saw Randy. Randy had pulled him from the wreckage of destiny, or perhaps carried him into another trap. His expression carried no answers, only the weight of choices unspoken. Doug could feel the conflict radiating from him like heat rising from asphalt, but there was no time for hesitation. He had carried the truth in his fractured body, the truth that could shatter every illusion still standing. And so he let it spill, heavy and raw, into the suffocating stillness. Vanessa. She was the architect of his destruction, the mind behind the accident that was meant to silence him forever. The name echoed in Doug's skull like the tolling of a funeral bell. Rage surged through his veins, stronger than the pain of broken bones, sharper than the memory of twisted metal. He thought of every calculated glance, every soft smile Vanessa had given, every gesture that masked a deeper cruelty. She had orchestrated everything with precision, ensuring that when the car veered, when chaos struck, it would be seen as nothing more than tragedy. But he had survived, and with his survival came revelation. The betrayal was complete, and it was personal. Randy's face tightened as if struck by a blow, though no word passed his lips. Doug knew the storm now raging inside him. To believe meant to admit that Vanessa, the one who had bound them all together with power and manipulation, had played him like a pawn. To doubt meant to leave Doug stranded, to ignore the truth in front of his eyes, and to surrender to her control once more. The room grew colder, heavier, as if the walls themselves bent under the gravity of their turmoil. Doug watched the silent war flicker across Randy's eyes, and he knew that his words had planted a poison that could not be removed. For Doug, anger burned not just at Vanessa's treachery but also at his own vulnerability. He had allowed her too close, trusted the lies dressed in elegance, believed in a version of her that never truly existed. Now he was trapped in a cycle of fury, his body weakened but his will hardened like iron. He wanted nothing more than to strike back, to carve through the web of deceit she had spun around them all. But revenge was not yet within reach. He needed Randy, and Randy was wavering on the precipice of decision. Randy's silence was louder than any accusation. The truth clawed at him, dragging forth memories he had long tried to bury. He thought of moments where Vanessa's control had seemed absolute, her charisma unshakable, her power untouchable. He thought of the times he had justified her actions, convinced himself that her harshness was necessity, that her ruthlessness was survival. But the cracks had always been there, subtle fractures in the mask she wore. And now, with Doug's revelation, those cracks widened into canyons that threatened to swallow him whole. Doug could feel the tension thickening, pressing down on both of them. He had given Randy the truth, but truth alone was never enough. It was a burden, a curse, one that demanded action. And action would mean defiance, risk, and inevitable bloodshed. For Randy to choose his side would mean turning against Vanessa, the force that had shaped his path, perhaps even defined his purpose. To remain loyal would mean condemning Doug, abandoning him to a fate he had narrowly escaped once already. Every possibility led to ruin. As Doug's mind spiraled, memories of the crash flooded back. The screech of tires, the shattering glass, the sudden weightlessness before impact. He could almost see Vanessa's shadow in it all, as if her hand had guided every twist of metal, every spark of fire. He remembered the final moments before darkness claimed him, the strange calm that had fallen over his thoughts. Perhaps death would have been easier. But he had awakened, and with awakening came the fire of vengeance. Randy moved slowly around the room, his steps heavy, his body tense. He carried the weight of decision like a man burdened by chains. Doug watched him, every movement, every pause, every flicker of hesitation. The silence was unbearable, a silence filled with judgment, anger, and fear. Doug wanted to rise, to confront, to demand allegiance, but his body betrayed him. His strength was fractured, his wounds unhealed. All he could do was endure, wait, and let the truth fester. Vanessa remained absent, yet her presence filled the space. She was the shadow between them, the silent third figure in the room. Every thought circled back to her, every fear was tied to her influence. Doug wondered if she already knew he was alive, if she was even now preparing another strike to erase him for good. The thought made his blood run colder. She would not stop. She could not stop. And if Randy failed to choose wisely, they were both doomed. Time stretched in agonizing slowness, each second an eternity of uncertainty. Doug felt his anger coil tighter, transforming from heat to steel, from fury to resolve. He knew now that survival was not enough. He had to destroy Vanessa, strip away her illusions, and expose her for what she was. But that path required allies, and Randy's wavering soul was the fulcrum upon which everything balanced. As the air grew heavier, Doug imagined the storm yet to come. Loyalties would fracture, blood would spill, and the fragile ties that bound them would snap under the strain of betrayal. The revelation was only the beginning. Soon, the gated walls around their world would no longer conceal secrets but collapse under the weight of vengeance. He could see it already, the unraveling of Vanessa's empire, the chaos that would consume them all. And in the center of it, himself, broken yet unyielding, a man reborn from the ashes of destruction. The room remained locked in silence, but the silence was alive, brimming with rage, sorrow, and the inevitability of conflict. Doug knew there was no turning back. Randy knew it too, though he had yet to admit it. Vanessa had drawn first blood, but the war was only beginning. And as Doug lay in that secret place, nursing wounds that throbbed with every heartbeat, he understood that survival had chained him to a destiny darker and more dangerous than death itself. This is only the start of what awaits beyond the gates. Thank you for joining us in exploring this dark and gripping tale. If you want to continue uncovering the secrets, betrayals, and explosive confrontations ahead, make sure to follow and subscribe to our channel so you never miss the next chapter.